Coming up on Need to Know, tough and oftentimes rarely asked questions posed and answered by black males for black males. It's the concept behind a visual arts exhibit opening this weekend in Rochester. And its goal is to create dialogue and shatter stereotypes associated with black men in America, including in our community. Also on the show, getting fit for free. A local man is offering fitness sessions in area parks at no cost to local residents, as long as there's a commitment to show up and break a sweat. And a new local choral ensemble has a debut performance this weekend. We'll learn more about its focus on community building through music. It's all coming up right now on this edition of Need to Know. Who are you as it relates to your purpose here on Earth? Why are black men considered traitors or outcasts when they date outside of their race? What's so hip about dying or going to prison for the rest of your life? How do I mend a broken heart? These are a few of the more than 1,500 questions asked and answered by black men of all ages and backgrounds throughout the U.S. It's part of a national transmedia art project called Question Bridge Black Males, and it's opening this weekend at the Rochester Contemporary Art Center. The project is focused on one demographic to further understand and address the crisis of black male achievement in America and to create a model of inclusion for black men in our society. To learn more about this project and how it's being used in Rochester to break stereotypes and to generate more dialogue, I'm joined by Blue C's Executive Director of the Rochester Contemporary Art Center, documentary filmmaker and professor Carvin Eisen, and Jackie Campbell, the Services Manager of the Rochester Public Library. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
So some of these questions that I just mentioned are tough questions, questions we don't often hear about in public, and they're about circumstances, responsibilities, respect, relationships, wisdom, and so much more. And all that being said, I want to get your take. What was it about this project and the context of the questions being asked that made you say this has to come to Rochester, this must come to Rochester, and it can impact Rochester?
Well, one, it has a wonderful track record of, traveling around the country and going to a bunch of significant museums and art centers, smaller African American history museums and libraries, and a whole range of other organizations. So first, I was surprised that it hadn't already come here to another organization. And then, I was touched by it. I mean, it's impressive. It's surprising. It's interesting. It has integrity. It has some teeth to it, and it deals with issues, I think, in a really honest way and in a neutral way. The artists are, in a sense, taking on a sociological role. They're conducting very simple and neutral interviews, and through the editing process, they have set up a dialogue where one man asks a question and multiple different men, very different situations, ages, professions, etc., answer those questions from different perspectives. And I think that's a very unique approach to this.
Well, you beautifully set up what I want to show to viewers, and it's a clip so they get a sense of what this is, what it looks like, and what they can experience when they go to the Rochester Contemporary Art Center. So we've got that clip for viewers, and we'll check it out.
Black man.
Do you want to get out of the situation that you're in?
What is the reluctance for taking responsibility for improving our communities?
Are your children better or worse off as a result of your involvement?
Why wouldn't you be happy with your son being gay?
Why are you so violent?
Why do you have that take mentality?
Why are you afraid of being intelligent?
Why?
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 What I want to know is why?
I believe that we've incorporated a lot of things that are unhealthy to us.
We are supposed to be tough.
I can't let them see no type of sucker.
Along with various other stereotypes.
The level of mentorship in our community is not as strong as it possibly could be.
When I came up, crack was a quick way for a black man to make $1 million.
Sometimes I think because we think we're black, we're some other kind of human beings, but we're just like most other human beings.
Why didn't y'all leave us the blueprint?
We did leave you a blueprint.
We just didn't tell you where it was.
That's something that we dropped the ball on.
What do you fear?
That something will harm my children.
I fear success.
Am I the only one who has problem eating chicken, watermelon, and bananas in front of white people?
I don't know, bro. Y'all niggas crazy.
That word, we have to stop using it.
I think black people can say nigga anytime they want.
How dare you? What right do you have to use this word?
A lot of nigga questions for the rapper.
What is common to all of us that we can say makes us who we are?
This is the easiest question in the world to answer.
The thing that we have in common is that we are male and we are black.
And that's what this exhibit is about, being a black male in America. And back in 2006, the Washington Post released this special series called Being a Black Male, and it was about what it means to be a black man in today's society. And they did a number of questions and video essays and community series connected to this, community public meetings connected to this. And a quote from the series read, black men often feel caught between individual achievements and collective failures, defined more by their images in popular culture than their lived experiences. And I want to ask, how did we get to this place where some black men feel more defined by their images in pop culture? And is it possible to reverse that trend?
That's a tough question, but we were just talking about this, and the culture is very willing to look at black men from basically two perspectives. One, in terms of super achievement. If you are the pinnacle, the top, the best, better than the best, right, then you are exalted and you receive a great deal of attention, and that image is very visible in popular culture. On the other extreme, if you are the lowest and the worst and the most in need of supervision and a thug and embodying all the negative characteristics, you will also get attention. You will get super attention. You'll probably get more attention than the guy who's doing the best. But what really Question Bridge serves to do, and what makes me excited about it, is it tends to normalize regular people, like the people I know, who work 40 hours a week, put their children through college, pay their taxes, contribute to the well-being of society, and are never spoken about. So that's one of the things that I think is exciting about it and interesting about it. And I'm excited for Rochester Community Television to be associated with Blue and the gallery in bringing this to Rochester.
And that may in part help answer this question. I mean, conversations about race in our community, they're not necessarily new. The Rochester Area Community Foundation, Action for a Better Community, other organizations helped to steer this Facing Race, Embracing Equity initiative, which was about having conversations about race in the greater Rochester area. And how do you envision that Question Bridge will differ and expand on that conversation, on that initiative?
So one of my passions is the race dialogue. And so my belief, and again, this is my perspective, is that there are multiple conversations that need to happen around race, but within the African American community, there needs to be a conversation for folks to come together and have that dialogue. And that also needs to happen in the Caucasian community. And then there is the other groups, but actually then bringing folks together to sort of have this conversation. This, to me, provides an opportunity for men, black men, to have a sacred space to have that conversation. And so I was really very impressed by the way that they had did these interviews in different areas, and it looks like one conversation that a group of men are sitting around having. And a few years ago, and I think it was Melissa Harris Perry, who had wrote that book around what happens in the barbershop, right? And so I think that there's an assumption that there is not the conversation that is happening, but there actually are other areas where that conversation is happening. This sort of just blows that up and says, you know, folks in different areas are having the same thoughts. And so one of the gentlemen mentioned watermelon, right? And so how did that come to be? So I think that this offers an opportunity to research and to look at how things have progress to where they are, or lack of progress. The whole thing about media and stereotypes is huge, and some of what we're dealing with is how systems put those images forth, and that men have to defend that.
Well, the question that was interesting, that I thought was interesting, we got to see it in this video clip. From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was the question that really helped to launch this project was, why didn't you leave us a blueprint? And it was asked to past generations. And some of the men responded, well, we did. And I wanted to get your take on that. What are your thoughts on that? Was a blueprint left?
Well, the idea of blueprint, I think if you take it literally, there is a blueprint, and that blueprint is given to you by the preceding generation. And that blueprint for how to be a man is given to you by the men that you associate with, and most logically your father. But very often in our country and in our culture, fathers or father figures for young black men are surprisingly absent. And in Rochester, New York, that is extremely apparent. According to Professor John Clofus at RIT in a recent report, 1 in 4 black men in area code 14621 is in connection with the criminal justice system, either directly incarcerated or on probation or in the court system in some way. So that creates a real pressure, and if that's the blueprint that you get, right, from the men that you know, that's the blueprint that you execute. So, you know, the culture is very, our culture, our national, our local culture is very familiar, and that is a very accessible image, but we need blueprints from other dimensions of culture. The blueprint of the men who, you know, who contribute regularly and don't ask for any recognition for that contribution.
Blue, talk about the video recordings that will be taking place, because I understand the idea is that people will come, questions will be asked, a recording will take place at the Rochester Contemporary Art Center as well, and that it will be a part of Rochester history. Talk a little bit about that.
Right, so the exhibition itself, you know, it's a large video installation, and the trailer is a single channel, one subject, one interview, one response at a time. But the actual installation is 5 frames at once. So it's a bit more dynamic than the trailer. So that will be playing. It's a 3-hour loop. People can experience that. But that's a fixed program. On the opening reception night on October 3rd, one of the producers will be in Rochester recording interviews. And those interviews will then go into the archive of this project, which the archive is continuing to grow and expand, and really what the organizers of Question Bridge have done, they really moved this to the next level to include a lot of user-generated content. So right now they have an app where any young man can just, you know, sit down with his iPad and upload an answer to one of these questions. So I think that the way that they're both engaging with the art community as a neutral place to, as Jackie said, kind of blow up this conversation and put it on display in a way. But yet it has an element of neutrality, which I could speak at length about. But so there's that element of the exhibition. But then there's also the private element of the exhibition, which the artists are simultaneously doing, is putting that in people's hands so they can engage with it and contribute to it. So anyone, not only those that are in the big installation in the art galleries.
Well, Jackie Campbell, Carvin Eisen, and Blue Seas, thank you for your time today. Now, this is an exhibit for people of all races, all backgrounds in our community to check out, and we've got the details. We've got a graphic for you. Question Bridge, Black Males will be at the Rochester Contemporary Art Center from October 3rd to November 16th, and there will be discussions held Wednesday and Friday evenings at 7 o'clock. You can get more information. Just go to rochestercontemporary.org/questionbridge. Now, gym memberships can be expensive, and finding the motivation to work out to begin with can be downright difficult. But there's a Rochester resident who's working to change all that. Lee Davis, known by many as Lucky, holds free community workout sessions in area parks. These intense, calorie-burning, muscle-sculpting workouts prove that you don't have to have a gym membership to get fit. Here's more about Lucky Davis, the founder of Easy Work Fitness.